Well, hello and welcome to this course on CPR, cardiopulmonary resuscitation. And as always, when we start a course, we want to introduce the instructor for the course. You should see my smiling countenance in front of you here on the screen. My name is Arthur Jackson. As you see scrolling up, my credentials: I am a degreed engineer, a bachelor's of science in electrical engineering, having worked for companies such as Exxon, Shell, and my own private consulting company for a number of years. I am also an attorney who worked cases across the country from California to Washington. I am an author who's written several books. I have served as a college chair, a college dean, and I'm currently the CEO of Arthur Jackson CTC. My company has contracts with states such as Washington to do statewide training for their employees around the state. Now, having introduced myself, we want to get started with the course. We're going to talk a little bit about the history of CPR. You should be seeing on your screen right now a document entitled The Brief History of CPR. This chronicles the start of the important segments of CPR and where it is currently. Let's start with 1956. You will notice that there were two doctors, Peter Safar and James Elam, who invented mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. This is a critical component in CPR because without it, modern CPR would not be possible. They wrote the first paper and did the first research to show that you could use the exhale breath of a human in order to save another person's life, resuscitation. You will see that in 1960, this was followed up by some work by doctors Quohoven and Jude and Knickerbocker, who were doing research into cardiac rhythms, who stumbled across the procedure of external chest massage, and who wrote a paper and did some research to show that externally compressing the chest could move blood throughout the body and keep a person alive, and this was the final element of CPR. Took a meeting in 1965 with the National Science Foundation to pull together the American Red Cross, other organizations, the American Heart Association, and to put these two pieces together into a common practice which we know today as modern CPR. It wasn't until 1992 that the American Red Cross and organizations in other countries around the globe decided to put together a unified system of CPR that would be applied internationally. Along with that effort came an organization called ILCOR, which stands for the International Liaison Committee on Resuscitation. This organization now governs and controls how CPR, this American process, will be applied. It is an international organization. Their first meeting, they created a consensus document in 2005 where they made sweeping changes to the way CPR was done. And in 2010, they created the latest document, which is the 2010 consensus document, which all groups within the United States train to, and all groups who practice CPR around the globe train to. Now that we've taken you through the complete history, let's do a little bit of a review. As you can see, CPR has evolved in several steps since 1956. It has now become an international effort to standardize procedures, and this process is reviewed and revised every 5 years. Those are the key items we want you to take away from this lecture. Now let's move on to our next lecture.